Have you ever really thought about your career as a story? And I don't mean just one single story, but a whole collection of them, all completely true. Today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating case study that shows how one person's professional history can be framed in totally different ways, each one perfectly tuned for a specific job. So let's get into this masterclass in professional branding.
So at the center of all this, we have a professional named Arvind Sharma. And when you start looking at the different resumes he's created, you're immediately hit with one pretty big question. Professionally speaking, who exactly is this guy?
Is he a business development head? Because one version of his story, it paints this crystal clear picture of a classic deal maker, right? Someone who is all about acquiring new clients, managing those key accounts, and just relentlessly driving revenue.
But hold on. You look at another resume, and it tells a completely different story. Suddenly, he's a data analyst, a specialist in SQL and Python who turns raw numbers into crucial business insights. That feels like a whole different universe from sales calls and contracts.
And then, just to keep things interesting, a third resume pops up, and this one presents him as a technical project manager, an expert in agile delivery, managing these complex software projects, leading development teams. So the question is, how on earth can one person be all three of these things?
Well, the secret is that while he has one career, he tells many, many stories. And before we can really appreciate the genius and how different they are, we've got to look at the one thing they all have in common, the foundation.
Okay, so here's the raw data, the ground truth of Arvind's career. This timeline, it is the constant across every single resume. He kicked things off as a Java developer, then shifted into freelance IT consulting, and for the last few years, he's been at a company called Allot Digital Solutions. This is the factual bedrock that every one of his stories is built on.
So if the actual jobs and dates don't change, where's the magic coming from? Well, it all comes down to the art of the reframe. It's about strategically choosing which parts of your experience to shine a spotlight on for the specific job you're trying to land.
And this side-by-side comparison of his professional summaries really shows you the power of that reframe. On the left, for that business role, you see the language of a closer, right? Driving revenue, acquiring clients. But on the right, for a back-office role, the exact same career is described with words like detail-oriented, compliance, and process optimization. It's almost like you're looking at two different people.
And this strategic storytelling goes all the way down to the skills section. For that data analyst role, he's listing SQL, Python, REST APIs. But when he's going for an SEO job, that list completely changes. Now it's all about Google Analytics, site audits, and on-page SEO. This is just a masterclass in speaking the exact language a recruiter, or more likely their automated screening software, is looking for.
So the key takeaway here is this. This is not about making stuff up. It's about meticulously reframing what you actually did to highlight what's going to matter most for the job you want. And this next slide, this is the ultimate proof.
Okay, this right here is the big aha moment. Take a look at his most recent job at Allot Digital Solutions. For a business role, he emphasizes securing clients and negotiating contracts. But for the exact same job, when he's applying for a technical project manager position, he's talking about directing projects, managing sprint cycles, and leading development. It's the same work, just seen through two completely different but equally true lenses.
Now you might be thinking, this seems like a whole lot of effort for every single application, but it is so strategic. So why does tailoring your story like this matter so much, especially in the job market we have today?
Well, first, and this is absolutely critical, it gets you past the robots, those applicant tracking systems, the ATS, that just toss out most resumes before a human being ever even lays eyes on them. Then, once it does get to a person, it speaks their language. It instantly shows the recruiter not just that you can do the job, but that you get the job. You understand its priorities, its challenges. You're basically signaling, hey, I'm already one of you.
Let's just pull out one single powerful number from his resume. Over 3 million. By itself, it's just data. But when you weave it into a story, it becomes undeniable proof of your abilities.
And this is where the storytelling is just brilliant. For a technical hiring manager, handling over 3 million transactions a day, that proves you can build and run systems at a massive scale. But for a business development leader, that exact same number is proof that you can land and manage accounts that generate huge volume. Same number, two totally different, powerful stories of value.
So, after seeing this whole masterclass in action, the question really shifts from who is Arvind Sharma to something a lot more personal. What's your story? And more importantly, How can you start telling it a little more effectively?
So how can you become a master storyteller with your own career? Well, here's a pretty simple 4-step framework. First, get totally clear on your core experience, the undeniable facts of your career. Second, you gotta put on your detective hat and really analyze that target role. What keywords, skills, and outcomes are they looking for? Third, reframe your real achievements using their language, just like we saw. And finally, step 4, quantify your value with hard numbers whenever you possibly can to give your story some serious, undeniable impact.
Ultimately, what all this really shows us is that your resume should never be some static, boring document just listing your past duties. It's a dynamic, persuasive, strategic story. So the only real question left is, what powerful story are you going to tell next?